These are the 10 worst cities in Virginia. Number 10. Hopewell. Incorporated in 1916, Hopewell, which is an independent city within the Commonwealth of Virginia, is situated at the confluence of the Appomattox and James Rivers. Originally known as City Point, it served as the headquarters for Union General Ulysses S. Grant during the Siege of Petersburg in 1864 and 1865 towards the end of the Civil War. Hopewell's industrial growth surged in the early 20th century, with the influx of European immigrants seeking to fill manufacturing jobs, which was when the city got its nickname Wonder City, as it grew from having a population of 400 to 20,000 in a mere few months. People of color in Hopewell faced Jim Crow laws and segregation until the success of the Civil Rights Movement, as was the case with Hopewell's Beacon Theater, which only allowed people of color to sit in its balcony section. Hopewell has also been the site of toxic chemical dumping. Allied Signal and their subcontractor Life Sciences manufactured and dumped Capone insecticide, a toxic chemical, into the James River between 1966 and 1975 before being shut down by the state health department. Fishing in the James River between Richmond and Chesapeake Bay is banned for fear of contamination dangers. Several large chemical and ethanol plants still operate in the area, including sites owned by Honeywell, Evonik Industries, Ashland, and Green Plains, Inc. In 1983, Hopewell made headlines in the national news when the story of what happened to an older woman, Evelyn Rust Wells, who lived in the City Point area. She had been confined and terrorized in her home in the City Point area by a group. Wells' captors, primarily male teenagers under 18 years old, were cashing her Social Security checks at nearby grocery stores. A local grocer contacted the authorities after noticing there was a higher purchase volume when the neighborhood kids helped Wells shop. Upon investigation, law enforcement rescued Wells, who had suffered severe malnourishment while being held captive. According to the United States Census Bureau, 21.3% of Hopewell's residents live below the poverty line, which, although improving over the past decade, is double the state of Virginia's poverty rate of 10.6%. In addition to its high poverty rate, Hopewell's median household income is $50,661, which is over $35,000 less than Virginia's statewide median household income of $85,873. Poverty and a history of racial inequality are contributing factors to Hopewell, Virginia's worse-than-average crime rate. For every 1,000 people living in Hopewell, Virginia, 26.08 crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Hopewell, 5.57 violent crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. For every 1,000 people living in Hopewell, 20.51 property crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. The most dangerous areas in Hopewell are Hopewell Marina, Kenwood Heights, City Point, Highland Park, Beechwood Manor, and the safest neighborhoods in the Hopewell area are Ward 4, Cedar Level, and Enon. Number 9. Richmond. Founded in 1737, Richmond is the capital city of the Commonwealth of Virginia and has been an independent city since 1871. It is the fifth largest city by population in Virginia and is located on the James River Fall Line. From a roadway perspective, the city of Richmond is located at the intersection of I-95 and I-64. Richmond played an important role in both the American Revolution and the Civil War. In 1775, Patrick Henry made his well-known "Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death" address at St. John's Church in Richmond, significantly impacting Virginia's involvement in the First Continental Congress and the overall direction of the American Revolution. 5 days following the Confederate attack on Fort Sumter at the start of the Civil War, the Virginia legislature decided to secede from the United States and join the newly formed Confederate States of America on April 17, 1861. The secession was formalized when the Confederacy pledged to relocate its national capital to Richmond from Montgomery, Alabama. During the war, Richmond housed local, state, and national Confederate government offices, hospitals, a railroad hub, and one of the largest slave markets in the country. Richmond's economy is predominantly driven by law, finance, and government sectors. The downtown area contains federal, state, and local governmental agencies, along with prominent legal and banking firms. According to the United States Census Bureau, 19.5% of Richmond's residents live below the poverty line, which, although improving over the past decade, is still almost double the state of Virginia's poverty rate of 10.6%. In addition to its high poverty rate, Richmond's median household income is $59,606, which is over $26,000 less than Virginia's statewide median household income of $85,873. Income disparity among races and poverty are contributing factors to Richmond's higher-than-average rate of crime. For every 1,000 people living in Richmond, 38.06 crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Richmond, 3.72 violent crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. For every 1,000 people living in Richmond, 34.34 property crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. The most dangerous areas in Richmond are Meadowbrook, downtown Richmond, Jackson Ward, Fayette Park, Belfair Fair Townhouses, Heckler Village, Manchester West, Bellemeade, and Hillside Court. And the safest neighborhoods in the Richmond area are Windsor Farms, Woodland Heights, the Fan District, Huguenot, Churchill South, Carillon Stadium, Stratford Hills, Logal Street, Bon Air, Buford Oaks, Edgewood, and Westover Hills. Number 8. Franklin. First incorporated as a town in 1876, Franklin is the southeasternmost independent city in Virginia, 42.9 miles southwest of Norfolk by car, and is named after Benjamin Franklin. It is adjacent to Southampton County. The city's history dates back to the 1830s when it served as a vital railroad stop along the Blackwater River, used to transport goods across the border into North Carolina. The modern-day economy in Franklin is heavily focused on agriculture and manufacturing. Franklin became a major exporting point for peanuts, also known as the ground pea, in the late 1800s, and today, Southampton County leads the state of Virginia in peanut production. Approximately 1,100 Franklin residents lost their jobs when International Paper closed its mill in May 2010, which is indicative of the economic challenges faced by manufacturers in the area. According to the United States Census Bureau, 22.4% of the people in the city of Franklin live below the poverty line, which is more than 2 times the state of Virginia's poverty rate of 10.6%. In addition to having a high poverty rate, Franklin's median household income of $57,373 per year is low, which is $28,500 less than Virginia's statewide median household income of $85,873. Economic challenges such as these contribute to Franklin having a higher rate of crime. For every 1,000 people living in Franklin, 38.56 crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Galax, 5.46 violent crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. For every 1,000 people living in Franklin, 33.1 property crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. The most dangerous areas in Franklin are Kingdale, Morton Street, and City Center of Franklin, and the safest neighborhoods in the Franklin area are Hunterdale, Mechanicsville, and Southampton Meadows. Number 7. Galax. Founded in 1953, Galax is an independent city adjacent to Grayson and Carroll counties located in southwest Virginia, 94 miles southwest of Roanoke. Its name comes from the evergreen groundcover plant Galax urceolate, commonly found in the surrounding area and the Blue Ridge Mountains. Manufacturers like Vaughan Bassett Furniture are major employers in Galax and have faced economic issues over the past couple of decades due to the United States trade policy with China, which makes it challenging to compete. According to the United States Census Bureau, 22.4% of the people in Galax live below the poverty line, which is more than 2 times the state of Virginia's poverty rate of 10.6%. The high poverty rate is made worse by Galax's low median household income of $44,612 per year, which is just over half of Virginia's statewide median household income of $85,873. For every 1,000 people living in Galax, 41.15 crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Galax, 2.67 violent crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. For every 1,000 people living in Galax, 38.48 property crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. The most dangerous areas in Galax are Cliffview, City Center, and West Galax. And the safest neighborhoods in the Galax area are Bilesby, Ivanhoe, Woodlawn, and Baywood. Number 6. Charlottesville. Founded in 1762, Charlottesville is an independent city located in the heart of Virginia among rolling hills and is named after Queen Charlotte, wife of King George III and Queen of Great Britain and Ireland. Located about 73 miles northwest of Norfolk, Charlottesville serves as the county seat of the adjacent Albemarle County and is the 20th largest city in Virginia by population. James Madison and Thomas Jefferson, both founding fathers and U.S. presidents, had homes in Charlottesville and lived there during their terms. Following the end of the Civil War and Reconstruction period, segregation and Jim Crow laws, along with multiple Ku Klux Klan chapters in the area, made life particularly difficult for Black residents of Charlottesville over the next 100 years. In 1965, the Charlottesville city government tore down the predominantly African-American neighborhood of Vinegar Hill. 130 homes, a church, and 5 Black-owned businesses were completely destroyed as part of the Urban Renewal Project. The land lay undeveloped for over a decade following the razing of the properties. The Omni Charlottesville Hotel now stands on the site. According to the United States Census Bureau, 23.1% of the population living in Fredericksburg is considered below the poverty line, which is more than double the state of Virginia's poverty rate of 10.6%. The University of Virginia Medical Center is the largest employer of Charlottesville residents. Income inequality, a long history of segregated schools, and other forms of systemic racism are contributing factors to Charlottesville's high levels of crime. For every 1,000 people living in Charlottesville, 39.51 crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Charlottesville, 4.87 violent crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. For every 1,000 people living in Charlottesville, 34.11 property crimes are reported to the city's police department each year. The most dangerous areas in Charlottesville are Pantops, Dunlora Docker, Dunlora Farm, Berkeley, the Collective on Commonwealth, Barracks West, and Canterbury Hills. And the safest neighborhoods in Charlottesville area are Blenheim, Overton, Prophet, Eastham, Key West, Ivy, Greenbrier, Locust Grove, and Hollymead. Number 5. Emporia. Nicknamed E-Town, Emporia is an independent city that serves as the county seat for adjacent Greensville County and is also the third smallest city in Virginia, with a population of 5,199. The city was founded in 1887 when the towns of Hicksford and Belfield consolidated. Initially considered a town, Emporia later achieved its city status in 1967 when the Virginia General Assembly recharted it as an independent city. Located 78 miles west of Norfolk and 14 miles north of the Virginia and North Carolina state line, Emporia is a transportation hub crossed by U.S. Route 58, U.S. Route 301, and Interstate 95, the primary north-south interstate highway on the east coast of the United States. Several prominent athletes, including former basketball player Bryant Stith, are natives of Emporia. According to the United States Census Bureau, 17.3% of the population in Emporia lives below the poverty line, which is more than 63% higher than the state of Virginia's poverty rate of 10.6%. The disparity between the median household income in Emporia and the rest of Virginia is drastic. Emporia's median household income is $41,442, which is less than half of Virginia's statewide median household income of $85,873. The high poverty rate and the very low median household income are factors contributing to the high crime rate in Emporia. For every 1,000 people living in Emporia, 40.83 crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Emporia, 4.42 violent crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. For every 1,000 people living in Emporia, 36.41 property crimes are reported to law enforcement each year. The most dangerous areas in Emporia are Skippers, City Center, and North Emporia. And the safest neighborhoods in Emporia are Kingsbury and Durand. Number 4. Fredericksburg. Founded in 1728, Fredericksburg is an independent city and is named after Frederick, Prince of Wales, son of King George II. Fredericksburg is the 40th largest city by population in Virginia and is located about 48 miles south of Washington, D.C., and 53 miles north of Richmond. The now extinct Manahoac tribe initially inhabited Fredericksburg and the surrounding area. Several residents of Fredericksburg played critical roles during the American Revolution, such as naval war hero John Paul Jones, father of the American Navy. The city was a vital port city during the American Civil War and the site of the Battle of Fredericksburg, fought between December 11th and 15th, 1862, as it was halfway between the Union and Confederate capitals, Washington, D.C., and Richmond, respectively. During the battle, about 10,000 enslaved black people fled north across the Rappahannock River into Stafford County, Virginia, to gain freedom, as the Union Army already occupied the county. Today, the city's economy relies significantly on tourism, as its historic sites and museums draw over 1.5 million visitors annually. Geico and the Mary Washington healthcare system are two of the Fredericksburg's largest employers. According to the United States Census Bureau, 18% of the population living in Fredericksburg is considered below the poverty line, which is almost 70% higher than the state of Virginia's poverty rate of 10.6%. While the poverty rate is among the highest, over the last decade in Fredericksburg, the median income by population has continued to improve, with only 2019 being a down year. For every 1,000 people living in Fredericksburg, 50.67 crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Fredericksburg, 4.37 violent crimes are reported to the city's police department each year. For every 1,000 people living in Fredericksburg, 42.1 property crimes are reported to the city's police department each year. The most dangerous areas in Fredericksburg are Brayhead Woods, Highland Homes, College Terrace, downtown Fredericksburg, Village of Idlewild, and Grafton Village. And the safest neighborhoods in Fredericksburg are Mineral Springs Plantation, Sylvester Reed Estate, Lancaster Gate, Queens Guard, University of Mary Washington, Belle Plains Estates, Regency at Chancellorsville, Estate of Chancellorsville, The Oaks at Chancellor, Red Rose Village, and Lees Hill. Number 3. Roanoke. Founded in 1884, Roanoke is an independent city located in southwest Virginia along the Roanoke River and the scenic Blue Ridge segment of Appalachian Mountains. It was initially the railroad depot town of Big Lick, named after the salt deposits which attracted wild animals to the area. Roanoke is the 8th largest city in Virginia by population and is known as the Star City of the South, due to the iconic Roanoke Star, 88.5-foot-tall illuminated star, which sits atop Mill Mountain and overlooks the region. The city serves as the modern-day economic and cultural hub for the surrounding Roanoke Valley and was originally home to the Tutelo tribe. The Tutelo are a now-extinct Native American tribe who lived along the present-day Virginia-West Virginia border before being driven out by English settlers. Roanoke is governed by a council-manager system, with a mayor elected by the council from among its members. The city's economy has evolved over the years. Initially hurt by Norfolk and Western Railway Company moving its headquarters out of Norfolk, the local economy has successfully transitioned to being predominantly employed by the healthcare industry. Roanoke's largest employer is the Carilion Roanoke Memorial Hospital, which employs more than 1,000 people. The city of Roanoke has a long history of racism and was one of the first cities in the country to adopt Jim Crow laws, which exacerbated racial inequity and hardship among black neighborhoods. One instance of racism-fueled violence in Roanoke happened in September 1893 after a white woman was reportedly robbed and assaulted by an African-American man named Thomas Smith near the city's market. This incident triggered escalating tensions, culminating in Smith's imprisonment in the city jail. A large mob, numbering in the hundreds, surrounded the building, demanding lynch justice. A confrontation between the mob and an undermanned militia defending the prisoner erupted, resulting in 8 fatalities and 31 injuries. The mayor, Henry S. Trout, had to flee Roanoke, fearing for his safety as he pledged to safeguard Smith. Eventually, the angry mob gained custody of Smith and proceeded to hang him and desecrate his body before burning it. Mayor Trout returned to the town a week later, bolstered by the national press's rebuke of the lynch mob and praise of his bravery during the ordeal. The crime rate in Roanoke is one of the highest in America, especially when compared with communities of similar size. According to the United States Census Bureau, 19.1% of the population living in Roanoke is considered below the poverty line, which is over 80% higher than the state of Virginia's poverty rate of 10.6%. Sociologists say racist, discriminatory practices are interrelated with higher levels of poverty and crime, which contribute to Roanoke, VA, being an unsafe place to live. For every 1,000 people living in Roanoke, 50.67 crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Roanoke, 6.22 violent crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. For every 1,000 people living in Roanoke, 44.45 property crimes are reported to the city's police department each year. The most dangerous areas in Roanoke are Ogden Hills, Mountain View West End, Wilmont, Belmont, Williamson Road, and Miller Court, Arrowwood. And the safest neighborhoods in the Roanoke area are Old Southwest, Wasena, Melrose Rugby, Poges Mill Estates, Old Mill Plantation RD, Southern Hills, Greater Dyrell, Castle Rock Farms, The Orchards, Grandin Court, Montclair Estates, and Hampton Hills. Number 2. Norfolk. Founded in 1682, the independent city of Norfolk is the 3rd largest city by population size in Virginia and the 95th largest in the United States. Encompassing 66 square miles of land, Norfolk is located at the heart of the Hampton Roads metropolitan area, bordered by the Elizabeth River to its west and the Chesapeake Bay to its north. The city is home to the largest naval installation in the world, Naval Station Norfolk, headquarters of the U.S. Navy's Fleet Forces Command, an integral component of the United States defense for more than 100 years. In addition to the area's waterways being crucial from a military transport perspective, Norfolk's economy relies heavily on them for the import and export of commercial goods. Norfolk's population is disproportionately comprised of males between 20 and 30 years old, which can largely be attributed to its also being home to a significant military presence. According to the United States Census Bureau, 17.7% of the population in Norfolk lives below the poverty line, which is more than 66% higher than the state of Virginia's poverty rate of 10.6%. The high poverty rate is corroborated by Norfolk's low median household income of $60,998 per year, which is almost $25,000 less than Virginia's statewide median household income of $85,873. For every 1,000 people living in Norfolk, 6.86 crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Norfolk, 7.29 violent crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. For every 1,000 people living in Norfolk, 49.57 property crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. The most dangerous areas in Norfolk are Park Place, Berkeley, Villa Heights, Lindenwood, Compostela, Diggstown, Bruce's Park, Huntersville, Norview District, Spartan Village, Young Terrace, Denby Park, Brambleton, and Tidewater Gardens. And the safest neighborhoods in Norfolk are East Beach, Larchmont, Bayview, Northside, Glenwood Park, south of Military Circle, Camellia Shores, Riverview, Colonial Place, Lakewood, Roland Park, River Point, Ghent Square, Edgewater, West Ghent, and Freemason. Finally, the number one worst place in Virginia is Portsmouth. The city of Portsmouth is an independent city founded by politician William Crawford in 1752 and named after Portsmouth, England. It is the ninth most populated city in Virginia and is located in the southeast portion of the state. Portsmouth is directly across the Elizabeth River from the city of Norfolk and part of the Hampton Roads metropolitan area surrounding the Hampton Roads water channel. The city is home to the Norfolk Naval Shipyard, a historic and currently active U.S. Navy facility. The shipyard played a pivotal role during the American Civil War as it was the site of the famous Battle of Hampton Roads, a two-day battle in 1862 between the Union and the Confederacy. The battle was also the first to involve ironclad warships, steam-propelled and protected by iron armor, the CSS Virginia and the USS Monitor. A significant portion of modern-day Portsmouth's workforce is in the healthcare and manufacturing sectors. According to the United States Census Bureau, 17.4% of the population in Portsmouth lives below the poverty line, significantly higher than the national average of 11.5%. So what puts Portsmouth as number one on this list? For every 1,000 people living in Portsmouth, 61.08 total crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement annually. For every 1,000 people living in Portsmouth, 9.39 violent crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. For every 1,000 people living in Portsmouth, 51.69 property crimes are reported to the city's law enforcement each year. Many attribute the high crime rate and danger in Portsmouth to economic challenges faced by many of its residents, such as the city's high rate of poverty and lower median household income. The most dangerous areas in Portsmouth are Norcom Park, Midtown East, Prentice Park, Prentice Place, West Haven Park, Brighton, Southside, and Hattonsville. And the safest neighborhoods in Portsmouth are Elmay, Victory Boulevard, Edgefield, West Norfolk neighborhood, Hodges Manor, Sterling Point, Merrifields, Baldwell, Twin Pines Ard, Waterview, Simonsdale, and Cavalier Manor. Do you agree with this list? Which cities do you agree or disagree with? I'm surprised Petersburg isn't on this list, and I'm confused why Richmond is also on the top 10 best cities list and on the worst. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and let me know which state or country you want to learn about next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.